Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Power Minutes. I'm your host Rubha Fatma, and today we are diving into the world of technology and transformation. Today joining us is a dynamic professional whose journey is inspiring and respectful, Mr. William. With over 3 years as a software engineer at 100 devs in San Francisco, William has significantly improved performance by optimizing backend system, reducing pace of time by an impressive 38%. Before stepping into the tech world, William worked as a realtor where he built a strong foundation in client satisfaction and communication. He later transitions into web development, working as a full stack web developer and a freelance developer. From real estate to full stack engineering, William's story is a testament to growth, learning, and adaptability. So, whether you are tech enthusiastic career switcher or someone looking for a spark for motivation, this is episode and this podcast is for all of you. So, let's welcome Mr. William. Hello, how are you, William?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, great. So, William, I'm going to start my question. First, I will know about your career journey and transition. So, please, can you tell me about your journey from real estate to software engineering?
Sure thing. I was born and raised in the Dallas, Texas area here in the US. And um, as a residential real estate agent, I came to realize that unless you structure your business a very specific way, you'll be working with two or more types of clients, specifically uh, people who work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and are interested in seeing houses and communicating in the evenings and weekends, and also people in the service industry and other businesses who work evenings and weekends and are available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Um, so to keep a deal flow going, you're working with, of course, multiple clients at the same time. So you need to be available most of the day, 7 days a week. And since the deal is about 30 days, and then you have some time before then where you're working with a client to even get to signing a contract, um, all of these timelines overlap. So if this picture makes sense, if you take a day off at any point, even a holiday, um, your clients who are going through the most important transaction they'll ever go through, buying a home, will find a more available real estate agent. So I figured if I'm going to be dedicated to something like that, I might as well get into a high growth career. Um, all due respect to real estate agents, it can be really good work, especially working with first time home buyers transitioning from renting and dealing with rent increases and having to move to having a stability, especially to raise a family. Um, to I wanted to transition to something where I could have a broader impact rather than having a high degree of influence on a kind of one person at a time. I can write software that impacts millions of people.
So, what were some early challenges you faced in tech, and how did you overcome them?
So at 100 devs, we start working with a client at the very early stages. They reach out and then um, a technical person on the team gets in touch with the client very early on to uh, plan whatever need they have, whether it's writing a new front end web page or a new piece of software for handling um, business automations for office processes, or it's working on some existing software that either needs some new features or has stopped working for some reason. Um, I learned a lot about one, communicating with non-technical people about what is and isn't possible with software, what is easy and cheap, and what is difficult and expensive and time consuming. Um, Communicating this accurately is very important for going from the first conversation to having a proposal for work that is effective. It's going to provide the maximum value for the client and also achievable for the team. whether you're building this out in a way that a variety of your team members could possibly take on the work, or if you have specific team members in mind who have some skills and expertise in a specific area that would be particularly efficient. If you're trying to use a new technology and no one on the team has worked with it yet, that could take days or even weeks of learning to do it right the first time, rather than experimenting with something that the client needs to actually use in production. So just learning those communication skills, and I would say for anyone who's watching this and about to get into either something similar to what I'm doing or just freelance web development, be careful to not overpromise. Err on the side of under promise and over deliver, and you'll be set for success.
That's really great. So, how was your experience working as a freelance web developer compared to full timing roles?
It's a really good experience just handling the complete transaction from end to end. As part of a company, you'll usually niche to a part of it. Maybe you'll be front end and less client facing, or back end and less client facing, or you'll be something like a sales engineer where you're working closely with the client, but you're doing much less technical work. But as a freelancer, you're doing everything from all the way from marketing and advertising yourself to reach new clients. I think it's a really good way to get into the industry, especially because you can learn one, what you're good at, and two, what you enjoy, which may or may not be the same thing, but that's something to consider when you're looking for a full-time role.
And if I talk about soft skills and teamwork, so my question is that how important are soft skills like communication and teamwork in your role?
Oh, they're incredibly important. Any role you'll find in tech, you'll have to communicate with other people, whether it's just receiving instructions and writing code, which will become less common in the future, I presume, or working with a large team, writing complex software, communicating with other internal teams, subject matter experts, external teams, stakeholders, which can often be people who only spend an hour a month actually communicating with people working on the project, and they want to get information about how the project is going, um, and being able to communicate effectively is very important.
And if I talk about your productivity and growth, so how do you manage your time and stay productive as a developer?
So I think it's important to time block, um, rather than starting your day with just one task or a to-do list. Actually put on your schedule. It doesn't have to be concrete, but going to spend 1 to 2 hours doing this task, this type of research, or this writing code for this feature, or having a meeting, or um, doing outreach, but be very specific rather than just I have these 5 things that I'll do eventually today. Planning out your day will be useful.
I just want to know more about your advice for a beginner. So, what are the top three things every aspiring web developer should focus on?
Okay, so for aspiring web developers, um, do you think to focus on finding a first job in software engineering, or to focus on freelancing?
Sorry?
Oh, is should I focus on an aspiring web developer who's looking to freelance, or who's looking to find a first job in
Both.
software engineering?
For
Okay,
both, you can, yeah.
so I'll say both. I think it's important. So if you're starting out as freelancing, which is pretty useful, rather than just kind of job hunting, actually going through this whole process, like I said, is a really good learning experience for when you finally uh, find your first position. So start networking early. You might want to start learning, and you might think you need 6 months to learn, but as soon as you start learning on day one, start telling your friends and family, I'm starting to learn this. If you know anyone who needs a website, I'm going to be able to do this starting very soon. I can start learning specifically for those needs right now, so that you get that pipeline going. Everyone you should introduce yourself. Hi, my name is William. I'm a web developer, and I encourage you to not say aspiring. It's a very low bar for actually building websites, and you should just go ahead and say that you're a web developer, you're starting to learn, and you're going to be able to build websites, simple landing pages very quickly. So just starting those connections that you'll eventually get a friend of a friend, or your family member knows someone who's building a website, will be the type of thing that gets you your first work. And then including online outreach, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, or joining something like Alignable, which connects professionals to each other. You can sign up, say that you're a professional in web development, and you'll connect with professionals in other fields who know people who need websites. Um, so it's important to start that outreach on day one.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. William, tell me that at 100 devs, am I right?
Yes.
100? Yeah, okay. So, 100 devs, you improve page load time by 38%. So, can you walk us through how you achieve that?
Okay. So the traditional web development flow, on if you are building a full stack site from scratch, uh, would involve provisioning a server which exists in one data center somewhere. So for example, if it's AWS and your users are going to be in the US, they have a large data center in Virginia. So it's in one location. If it's a small application, it's not going to be in several servers around the world. It'll be in the one location. And when people visit your site from Europe or East Asia, the connection is traveling very far to reach that location. But if you build your website in a serverless framework, if it's deployed using AWS Lambda, or what I use is Cloudflare Workers, you don't provision a server, so they call it serverless, which is kind of a misnomer. It really does use servers, but you just don't choose where it is. It's um, provisioned close to the user. And in Cloudflare's case, I believe there's about 1,000 locations. They're not all necessarily data centers, but they have uh, servers running in dozens of countries around the world, close to the users. And so when I'm measuring page serve time in this instance, I'm measuring from when the request is made. So just saving that time of a request going across the ocean reduces page serve time by a lot. But that's something that has to be done when designing a website from the first place. If you're working on an existing website, you're probably not going to change whether it's provisioned on a server or serverless.
So, which programming languages or frameworks do you enjoy working with the most and why?
So there's a couple of ways to answer this question. The best framework is Next.js because it uses React, whatever component you want. If you want a calendar pop-up or um, all kinds of different things, it's been made in React. You can find it open source online and make a copy and customize it. Um, so that will use TypeScript, um, Next.js, React. It's possible to deploy this on Cloudflare Workers as well with something called OpenNext, which in my experience has worked fairly well. And yeah, that's how I would go about it.
So, how do you stay updated with the fast changing tech landscape?
I usually start my day with doing a little bit of research, whether it's something specific that I'm about to build, or just staying up to date with this accelerating rate of change that we're seeing. That's accelerating even more. So we're seeing like X squared type of thing with AI changing the landscape and so many uh, new technologies that are enabling other new technologies. Uh, like now, I say that Next is the best framework because there's so many components made in React. But now with LLMs, you can take a component that's written for a different framework and ask an LLM to translate it, and you'll get mostly working code the first time. So these tasks, whether you know one programming language and you're writing something in a different one, um, this like language barrier, so to speak, is decreasing, which is opening up all kinds of opportunities. But just starting my day with a little bit of research keeps me up to date.
So, Mr. William, can you share a project or any memory that you are particularly proud of and what impact it had?
Something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, I had a client recently outside of 100 devs who's a wedding photographer. So uh, it's her first business, small business, getting started. She's doing all kinds of things, learning how to hire people, uh, learning how to provision this work and schedule and negotiate with clients and choose pricing and choose what to offer, what not to offer, where to travel, where not to travel, all kinds of different things. And she was working with, I believe, a WordPress website, which just wasn't working very well. She spent, hours per week trying to improve the design, um, add components for all these modern web features that you see on nice websites that surprisingly hard to implement inside of WordPress. Um, so she reached out to me, and I was able to build a Next.js website um, deployed on Cloudflare workers using OpenNext um, with a beautiful design that the clients like, with a nice, really attractive contact us uh, component. And just taking that off of her plate and helping her build her business was a satisfying experience. All right. Maybe Rubab is having a technical difficulty. We'll wait a few moments and see if she's able to reconnect. Welcome back.
Am I audible, well, Mr. William?
Can you say that one more time? Your audio this time is a little bit echoey.
So, sorry, I got just connected due to some internet issue. So, my voice is clear to you?
Uh, I think I can understand what you're saying. If it's possible to connect the microphone again, that would help.
So, if I talk about your strengths, so what do you think? What are the three strengths that you find in your personality?
Okay, what are three strengths that I find in my personality? So I usually think about this question in the personal sense. So I meet people in a social setting and I say I'm very approachable, which I think is a benefit in business as well. If you come across as someone who might be out for themselves, that's not conducive to, negotiating in a win-win situation. So the fact that I come across as approachable and friendly and helpful, I think is really helpful because, in business, um, you're looking for a deal that benefits both parties. You're looking for a win-win or a win-win-win situation. So being approachable and friendly is very helpful to me. I I think that I'm able to break down these technical concepts for non-technical stakeholders very effectively. So that's very helpful, especially for something like a sales engineer position or a team lead that might have to communicate with an investor or um, a philanthropist that might be helping a nonprofit organization and is interested in seeing how how the software side of things is going. And one more strength. Let's see.